Welcome to the Big Three, where we get to talk about this week's sermon from North Boulevard Church of Christ in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you haven't been here, come see us. We'll take questions and make observations from you, me, John, and this week's special guest. You know him, you love him, Kelvin Teemer.
Hey, I'm here.
He sure is.
He is here. You got the morning off.
It's never
So
really
he thought.
off.
Not really.
It's not really off, but I'm happy to be back. I've missed this.
I know.
Yeah,
We
this is
missed you
a lot of
at
fun.
our round table.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great series, and Skid did a great job. He kept our streak of great messages. It is
Yes.
still intact. All right. Oh, my goodness. I have to give a quick summary of this lesson. I did not give that near enough thought, so y'all may have to help me. The summary would basically be, all right, so we're looking at 16, the Macedonian call. Are we looking for people who are making that maybe giving us that call?
Yeah.
I'm going to add this. I've been praying as we think about disciple making that God would make it easy for us. And easy to me is kind of the Macedonian call that says, come over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I guess that's my summary. Do we have eyes to see the Macedonian call that maybe is in our life? I hope that's a good
Make it
summary. I'm not
obvious,
sure that's a great summary, but there you go.
I like
Good.
that.
And
Good
Lydia
summary.
was in there, too. Don't forget Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia's in there.
Absolutely. I
Love me
love
some
it. They
Lydia.
went to a place of prayer, and they found
there they found-
their Macedonian call was to Lydia. That's
Found
cool.
it right
That
in
was
the
fun.
river. I love it. Well, we're going to go around and share some highlights of this sermon. And so I would love to start with you, Brother Kelvin.
Yes.
What really jumped out at you?
So a number of things jumped out at me. So I love this text because it begins with them trying to go different places, right? But then the Spirit of Jesus, Holy Spirit won't let them. The Spirit of Jesus, same one and the same. Holy Spirit, Spirit of Jesus, one and the same. But He is preventing them. And then there's this call. I love that first part because, we often have ideas and, we want to do something and then we run into these roadblocks and roadblocks and roadblocks and we wonder, why the roadblock. Okay. It could be that some of the roadblocks are God's way of saying, no, that's not for you. I really want you to go in this direction. Skid pointed out about the no's and the stops. It's so telling because, it's something we all, I think, wrestle with. What voice, what thing is from God? It could be that Luke, who writes it, is looking back on it, after history and time have passed, and he's looking back and saying, you know what? That wasn't this. It was the Holy Spirit saying, no, don't go here or go here. I love that part of it. And then the second part that stood out was the idea that there may be someone in our lives right now, even as we speak, who are calling for us to come and help them see the way of Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, on the first one, isn't it cool as Luke looks back that he can then see God was part of it the whole time?
That's right.
The things that I got maybe discouraged us that we thought were roadblocks were really just God getting us to exactly where He wanted us to be. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that is powerful. I mean, sometimes I wonder, is it a good exercise, maybe with enough time going past, but is it a good exercise? Is it a good exercise to go back and guess those things? Or do we make up a story that's not real sometimes when we do that?
We could make up a story that's not real. We could guess sometimes. However, I think to John's point, if we see God in this whole process, knowing that He's there, He's not going anywhere, trying to see the God in it, I think it helps us not do that, not guess and not make stuff up.
And not get discouraged.
Right.
Because, because you can feel, you can get down thinking everything's a roadblock until you go, all right, but God just get me where He wants me to be.
Absolutely.
So good.
Okay, you got a friend there.
I know. This is my best friend, Dax. Say hi. Hello. That was very soft. What about you? What stood out to you?
Okay, the question that he asked is, are we ready to have spiritual conversations with friends, with neighbors, with the people that God has placed in our lives? We may have a million different kind of conversations with them, and some of those relationships are casual, some of them are, a little bit more meaningful, some of them are deeply spiritual, but are we ready to be intentional with the relationships, the people that God has surrounded us with. Are we ready to take advantage of the spiritual opportunity that God may be giving us?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, that's
right.
good.
I love that quote he had from Mr. Rogers about, there isn't anyone who you couldn't learn to love once you've learned their story. And I think about that, like sometimes I talk to, like when our kids, when they've been going through school and they've got like some kid in their class who's mean or whatever, and I always say, you got to put on your Holy Spirit goggles. You got to be able to see them the way God sees them. And we don't know what's going on at home.
That's right.
Stand up for yourself, whatever, but because we all need grace. And,
I don't know that he necessarily highlighted this, but it does highlight for me as I think about being a disciple maker. It usually starts we know it starts with prayer, but then it also starts with listening to other people to find out how can we bring God into their story. If we just pile drive through and we just start with what we want them to know, maybe there's something in this lesson today that says, listen for a little while and then show them how God speaks to that part of their story.
Because the great thing,
listening.
Sorry to cut you off, but the great thing is that everyone has a story, right? We don't have to make up anything, right? Yeah, everyone has a story, and the way I used to train people to approach disciple making is find out what the story is, and then find out where God has intersected with that story. Because he's intersected somewhere. They just might not see it. They just may see, well, I've just lived life and I've had tragedy and I've had this happen and this happen. Okay, but where did you see God intersect with that? And once they start thinking about where God intersected with that, now we have the basis to talk more about God and what God actually wants to do in their lives.
So good.
Abby, complete the big three.
Okay, woo! I had so many things I wrote down, but I did, at the end, he gave us those list of questions, and one of them said, is there any time of day when God is better at getting your attention? And I thought that was powerful. I was thinking about all the people, those big... the big players in the Old Testament, like Daniel, David, these people who spent so much time talking to God.
Right.
You think about it, that's what got Daniel in the lion's den, was because he had those regulated times where he was praying.
Yes.
And so I want to be someone who spends so much time with him.
See, and that's what our preachers do. We had this great sermon going, and then all of a sudden they say something where I go, oh, man, he's talking to me now. He was talking to Abby the whole time until he got to that one, and then he convicted me. So good job by you guys.
Wasn't that so good? Do you guys have a certain time of day where you spend more time praying? Like, are you morning people? You run and pray.
Yeah, yes, I do. But, my wife and I, we set aside times to pray together. And I think more I'm a reflector. So I think at nighttime's kind of mostly when I'm laying there praying.
Morning, first thing in the morning.
Are you pretty early morning person?
Very early, 4:30.
Oh, that is very early.
Yeah, 4:30. So don't call me at 10 o'clock p.m.
You are done.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
done. You won't
here's the
get me
thing.
if you do.
Yeah.
We've never seen him sleep.
That's true.
We've never seen him eat. Name
Is
one
that
time
really
you've
true?
seen him eat. I don't know what.
Christmas party.
I don't know what all that means.
See? Yeah,
You
I
didn't
ate
come
there.
to the staff Christmas party.
Oh, that's true. If I had been
so you
there,
didn't-
I'd have gotten to see.
I wasn't actually
Yeah.
watching you eat. I'm making an assumption that you were eating.
I ate next to him last week at the Momentum Conference.
Oh, John.
Did
They had food.
Okay, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
He I want to verify for everybody at home.
Yeah.
He eats.
I eat food.
So
Yeah, he
that was
doesn't
the
sleep,
big
but
big
eats.
question. Is he a cyborg? And now we know.
Now you know.
Woo,
I'm not.
solved that. Well, guys, if you have any more questions besides if Kelvin is a cyborg, let us
This is
know
what
by
we do.
using the QR code on the screen.
That is why this podcast is riveting. All right. Hey, if you want to rewatch the sermon, or maybe you're just catching the podcast and you want to watch this sermon for the first time, go to boulevard.to/sermons. Well, guys, that wraps up this week's Big Three.
That's right. Thanks for being with us. Look for this podcast on your favorite platforms and be sure to join us next week for Boulevard's Big Three.